Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about a topic that everybody wants to look into, is that post-scarcity, meaning utopia, aka. So let's dive right into it. So what exactly we are talking about? What does post-scarcity actually mean? Well, in simplest term, it's the final point. Basically, what's the position of your education? Like, why do you do education? What do you supposed to get out of it? Basically, employment, meaningful employment at the other end of it. So once you have that, it's like, okay, my education has been successful. Of course, you will learn and grow. That's a different thing. But like, have you been succeeded or not? It's just simple as that. Like, have you started or not? So that's the next step, is the same thing here. Post scarcity is the point where a civilization reaches, and it's like, that's what we were working toward. That's what's the whole goal, the whole reason civilization, countries, counties, culture, everything exists is for that reason. We want to reach that post scarcity. And what does that mean? It simply means all the core level needs. I will explain why we have some core levels and non-core levels. Core level needs are sorted. It's like, okay, this part, this is important, sorted. This is important, sorted. And you will not need to worry about it, meaning it's not sorted for only some people, because it was always there. For example, a kings never had to worry about basic amenities. Same for rich people in the very early days, because again, you have to understand, middle class is a new thing. Back in the old days of thousands of years, we had either kings and peasants. We did not have like quote unquote middle class. Like there were some small group of people who were like whatever traders and all that, just, but they never had the power and the scale that we have in middle class. So the idea is that everybody would be sorted. Availability and the cost of the core needs would be so little that you won't care too much about it. And everyone would be included in this party. That's the core reason. That's the whole point of utopia. It's like nobody is impoverished there, nobody is poor there. You will not need this sort of thing. Everybody will be sorted on a base level at least. Basically, the level there would be like rich or very rich. It won't be poor or hyper rich. You want that the lower end to come up so much where it's like, rich or very rich. So you don't have to think about it. That's the core level needs that you have. You won't have to think about it. And this is what the concept of utopia is. Basically, people reach a point where nobody, as in absolutely nobody, if you have 2 billion people in your country, nobody in that 2 billion people have to ever worry about basic necessities of life. So what are the details of these needs? Because be mindful, there is a very, very deep quote from Mahatma Gandhi, is that the world has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed or wants. What does that mean? That simply means, for example, does Earth has enough fresh water supply that is easily replenishable, that everybody can drink enough water for a day? Like, as in, like, I need drinking water. Do we have it? Yes. Do we have enough water for bathing and all that? Just yes. Do we have enough water for multiple hour long spa? No. That's the whole thing. Basically, the moment you start to increase your desire, the supply is just like, bro, we can't keep up, flat out. And our desire expands exponentially, meaning you would reach a point where it's like, I want this golf course. It's like, why? Like, it wastes so much water. It's like, no, I just want it because I have a few money. So you have to understand, everybody can be sorted, as long as you have to understand that all you can do is just that part. You cannot be like, I'm sorting everything that you ever need, because wants have no limits. Needs have actual limit. Like, you can actually eat only X amount of food. You cannot eat like 50,000 X amount of food. You cannot do there. So core things can actually be managed. Now, people always use this pyramid known as Maslow's pyramid, hierarchy of need. The reason for this is, like, this may not be perfect, but as of now, the most known, well-known, thoroughly studied and almost verified is only this. Like, this is almost like, yeah, this is it, this is here, this is real. Like, easiest way to describe human wants, basically. So base level are very easy to meet. For example, you have breathing. Air must be pure enough, as in like you can able to breathe it without too much hassle. Back in the day, we had very good outdoor air quality, but horrible indoor air quality because of open fire and moldy conditions and all that jazz. That part has been sorted. Unfortunately, the outside is no longer clean, but we are working on it. People are working on it. Then you have food again. Then you have water again, sorted. And then you have sleep. You have homeostasis. Homeostasis meaning your today and tomorrow is not too far apart. Like, human biology and any biology likes homeostasis, meaning they do not like change too much, where it should not be like, okay, everything is sorted, but you have to move from a location A to B another day. Okay, once in a while in your lifetime, that's acceptable. 2-3 times in a lifetime, that's acceptable. Every month, no. Now that your homeostasis will be gone, and not to mention you also need a place to poop, because again, you put in, you have to poop out. So you have to make sure that there is a way of taking care of that part also. Now this creates an issue when we have sex in that level, because here's the deal. Sex, you may think, okay, sex done, sorted. No. The moment you have sex, the next level of your mind unlocks. That is the third layer, that is sexual intimacy. This is far harder to achieve. Like, you can get sex without too much hassle. Sexual intimacy, you could spend whole lifetime chasing this and you will never achieve this. That's how tedious that part is. And here's the deal. Most people who have never had sex, they never even understand this is the valuable part. Why? Again, they never had this. Like, they have not cleared level 1. So this part is basically, it's like a game where level 1, clear level 1, only then you can see level 2. Clear level 2, only then you can see level 3. If you have not cleared this level, you will not see that. You will always find it's like, oh, why the heck that perfect couple is like, breaking apart. It's like they are perfect. It's like, because you are seeing this layer, you are not seeing this layer. This is a very critical aspect. Another thing, you will always notice rich people are like going through counseling, therapy, and like many times offing themselves. It's like, why the heck you had everything? Here's the deal. Once you reach this level, these 3 layers that are there, these are the complex layers, which we call friendship and family. You will always hear rich people talk like they do not know who they trust, and you do not think about it because you may have it already, or you may be stuck in the base layer where those things are not important enough. But once you clear this, those become exponentially more important. Your brain is like, okay, now give me this. Like, it's like how your child is growing. It requires certain things at certain age. At advanced age, it requires different things. At even more advanced age, even different things. Like, you keep building it up. So once you clear the level 1, level 2, level 3, now it's like, okay, I really need to have good friendship. And like Muhammad Ali was very specific about this. It's like, when he went to prison, he lost everything. When he came out, he was happy. People were like, why? Dude, what the hell? Why are you happy? It's like, I lost everything. There is no more vultures. That's what he used to say. It's like, there were no vultures. And rich people do say that. Like, they are like, dude, they do not know who to trust. You and I, like, let's say normal people, average people, we can just talk to people. We do not have to think about like how he's going to exploit me. Rich people have to worry about that. They do not have that friendship part. Many times they do not even have family part. They are working 24/7 into 365, and they have zero family. Even though on paper they have family, they don't have family. And that started to catch us up to them over time. So these things are very critical and complex. Base layer, super easy to do. And the people who have not finished this layer will always think is like, why the heck, like, there is first world problem? The reason is that unless you have cleared this layer, you will not see the problems that are ahead. Once you clear that, then you're like, oh, I really have to have good friendship. Oh, I really need a good family. Oh, I really need sexual intimacy. I cannot just have sex with whoever I want. You can have sex with one sexually intimate person 100 times a day, no issue. You have sex with 100 people, good luck finding that. That's the one critical aspect. So these things are very important. How important? Once you clear the base load, purpose of life becomes important. Back in the old days, why the heck people did not have so much psychological issues? Because this layer was not fulfilled. They were actually in a position where it's like, dude, we genuinely do not know when our next food will come through. I'm not that old, but my mom and dad literally lived through a time where refrigerator was not a guaranteed thing. It was not a thing that every Tom, Dick and Harry has. There was a time where food staple of Indian household was fixed based on weather, because winter, you'll have winter foods. Summer, you'll have summer food. We no longer have to worry about that. We can have tomatoes whenever we want. Why? Again, we can grow them whenever we need to, or grow so much in winter that we can store it safely enough that we can have year-round supply. We do not have that luxury, so people were stuck there. So this layer is much more simpler. You have to like very basic steps, and you are occupied with these steps. These things did not bother you. They're like, dude, at least clear level first, then worry about these things. Layer 1, they always kept us looking, and because you are such a survival mode, purpose of life was clear: survive the next day. It was surprisingly easy. But these things become more complex once you have that. That's why this modern generation has so much issue, because we never had to worry about food. It's like, we are sorted, bro. We got this. Food is sorted. Heck, we don't even think about vaccines. Government just give us vaccines. So all things considered, you can have everything and be more miserable and desperate than you ever felt. This is the thing that you always, like, people thought it's like, I'll be rich, I'll have this promotion, I'll be happy. It's like, no, sir. You were not ready for these 3 layers that are complex layers. You are ready for this. You are working your ass off, and you always had this delusional idea that once I clear this layer, oh, all my problems are. And like, you will talk about dumb people talking. It's like, oh, once you have money, money solves everything. It's like, dude, there are more than enough rich people that off themselves. There is a reason this 3 layer was not met. And if you ever have to choose between money and these 3 layers, make sure you choose these 3 layers. Trust me, people have learned the hard way that money does not solve these 3 things. You cannot buy those things. So You can have everything and be miserable and desperate, and rich broke people are a real thing. Like, and that's why like people, many times you have so much envy, so much hatred. It's like, dude, you have everything, why you're not happy? These three layers were not met, and people who are stuck here, they will not even know that these three layers exist. Inherently they will not know. So these are the details. Like, making utopia is not as easy as you might think. So let's come to the base layer, food and water. That's the first layer. Thankfully, this part is sorted, meaning at this point in time, most developed nation has sorted it out. And if there is an issue, there could be Putin happening or CCP happening, but most of the time, these things are sorted. Only poor nations sometimes mess it up, for example, Pakistan or Sri Lanka, things of that nature. Now, all the core level problems have been solved and sorted. Now, what do we need to do in this front? Well, we have to improve our management, because our management is very short term. That's why many times people are saying we are running out of food. Yeah, because our management is short term. Once we start to extend that part, management part, we will sort it. So what does that mean, management for a long future? Basically, we have to go from growing crops. We have to grow soil. Crops will be the byproduct that we'll eat. For example, have you ever noticed how the heck forest can go through forest fire almost yearly and still somehow survive? Because the soil is healthy. What we are doing is unhealthy. Soil is dead. Dead soil is useless. Basically, we are doing hydroponics pretending that we are doing farming. We are not doing farming. So what are the steps that people have to do in order to have future where we're like, dude, sorted, don't worry about it? First, zero till farming, meaning you do not go blam on the soil. If you do this, you expose soil. What does that mean? That simply means moisture leaves out, sunlight gets in, sterilize the soil. You are basically taking microorganism heaven and you are turning it into desert. Not good. That's the first layer. Zero till farming. You use surface layer plantation or a very thin blade, so you damage soil as little as possible. Second layer armor, cover crops, meaning under no circumstances your soil should ever be exposed to the sunlight. Sunlight equals dead soil. You do not want sunlight reaching dead soil or soil at all. You always want cover, and that's why you go into forest, you will always notice they never have a blank soil spot. Never. Like, there will be tree roots and there will be moss, there will be grass, there will be specific plants that are designed to run on such a low solar input, but there will always be something. They will never have naked soil. Naked soil equal dead soil. So these are the two things that make sure your soil actually grows. Another thing is we have to do crop cycle, and this is why we always messed up our farming, and that's why everybody's like, oh, we can't actually farm again and again, it will destroy the soil. No, we can farm till infinity and soil will still grow, still be healthy. The reason is that our cash, what we have cover crops, same way we have cash crops, meaning the things that make you money. And people always get that temptation. It's like you're saving up a lot of money, little bit of money per month, per year, year by year, year by year. Your generations have been doing it. For example, Amazon, you have been doing this for 1000 years. Soil is healthy, it's GG, it's rich. Somebody got the temptation. It's like, what if I, instead of planting cover crops, I planted cash crops? More money. They did it. Everybody else looked at it. They did it. Now, because we saved up money for so long that they could do it for long enough, as in like 2-3 generations. After 4-5 generations, people were like, why the heck soil is not fertile? Because you created monoculture that ends soil. Your soil is dead. Now you're starving. And that's where we got this brain damaged ideas like fertilizer have to be created in order for farming people. It's like, no, we created, basically we stopped crop cycling. That's why we started to starve. And what we need right now, this is a very new discovery. How new? As in like the books on this matter started to reach public perception in 2010. That's how new this research is that we have to figure out mycelium network, this puppy. Basically, this is the reason why plants grown in a basically forest type environment survives, because this is a hyper network that allows everybody to connect to everybody, and it is the defense network. For example, if there is an insect hitting a plant, that plant will scream. This will hear that scream, connect every other plant, and it's like, okay, give all your toxin to me. That, let's say this plant is compromised, plants around it will have hyper toxicity, and all the resources that can be extracted from that compromised plant will be extracted. Basically, it's like a rescue, whatever you need to rescue, compromise everything, and then the moment the insect jump from other plant is like, it's hyper toxified, it cannot fight through. That's why forest never gets taken over by animals or insects. It always has a defense mechanism. How the heck it has defense mechanism? Soil has mycelium network. I made a detailed video about it. So you get the point. Like, this is new. Like, we had to put radioactive carbon in different plants to figure out, does it actually transport? And we were shocked. Yes, it does. Like, it can literally, oh, that plant is in shade, move carbon there. Take soil. Take sugar. Like sugar is the currency in this ecosystem, and that's how it works. Like this is a whole network that keeps the forest alive. We forgot that we're supposed to keep that in our farms. And again, this puppy loves not destroying the soil, loves zero-till farming, loves cover crops, loves crop cycling. You do not crop cycle, it cannot replenish it. And again, be mindful, farmers have been figuring out and have been doing this for 10 years. They no longer need crop fertilizers. They don't need, and they don't even have to worry about pesticides anymore. It's like, plant is like, I got you, fam. That's why, grow soil, not crops. Crops should be the byproduct. We have that part is sorted. What about water? Thankfully, water is easy to manage. Unfortunately, we are kind of stupid and we are polluting with industrial waste. Everything else, you poop or piss, you put in water, biological life is like, that's my byproduct, I can digest it. Not too much an issue. You put industrial waste into it, yeah, biological life is like, bye, I'm out. At that point in time, even normal piss becomes dangerous simply because it's not getting neutralized. There is no biological life. There is no ecosystem to digest it, to break it down to into its components. So everything dies. So you have mercury, cadmium, this sort of thing. Yeah, you did. And that goes into crop circle, as in like goes through crop rotation. Basically, the same water, contaminated water would be used for irrigation. Voila, the whole farm starts to die because you are contaminating the water. So that's the thing that we really have to solve. Basically, we have to be like, hey, our clothes will become a bit more expensive because again, cloth dye is a very big industry that pollutes water, and the toxin can be, what we call detoxified, but it does cost money. And that's why like China got such a big clothing industry. They did not detoxify the water. Every other country that is not doing it, for example, maybe Vietnam and India, we really have to learn this the hard way. It's like, let China drown itself in toxic water. We have to be sure, like, bro, we can afford expensive clothes. We cannot afford toxic water. It requires super strong government regulation. This is the part where unfortunately people can't do much. We have to, like, governments have to really come forward and have to like, no sir, you do not get to put mercury in water, you do not get to put cadmium in water. You don't get to do that. Another thing that everybody else have to do is rainwater harvesting has to become common thing. Why the heck we have so many floodings nowadays? Well, because there is no place for water to go. Water used to go under the soil, so everybody was happy. We no longer have naked soil. We have concrete on soil, so water just runs off. So we have to make sure every cities use rainwater harvesting as thoroughly. And be mindful, this is a weird thing. It may sound counterintuitive, is that wet soil can absorb water. Hard soil or dry soil cannot absorb it. That's why we have wetlands. Wetland, it rains a lot. Wetland is like, I can drink it all day. No problem. I can do this all day. You have a desert, rain happens, flash flooding. It cannot absorb it. So for that reason, rainwater harvesting, first, it makes soil wet. Once you have soil wet, every household that is doing rainwater harvesting, helping each other, you can literally have insane amount of rain and it's like nothing comes out of the city. It's like city, everybody is doing rainwater, nothing comes out. There is no flash runoff. Then farming, agriculture. Basically, if you have mycelium matter, that puppy goes deep, almost few feet deep, meaning instead of having compacted soil which cannot absorb water, this puppy is like, let me drink water. So you do not have runaway. You do not have what happened to Pakistan right now. As in last year, the stupidly huge flood that only happened because soil was not handling it. So rainwater harvesting has to become mandatory, and it will help us. It's the cheapest flood insurance that we can have. From everybody starts to do it, everybody is sorted. So food and water is sorted in long term, as in like for billions of people, as in bare minimum 10 billion people, no worry about water, fresh water, or no worry about food. We can be sorted. That part is done. We can truly achieve base level scarcity. However, then we reach to complex part, because be mindful, it is true that not every country has this. Many countries do. Many country in Europe, many country in America, counties in America, and many places even in India have this part sorted, where it's like, we have food, we have water, we never have to think about it. Like for example, Kerala has really low poverty, like horrifyingly low poverty. Like it's weird. That's how low poverty there is. But then we come to the complex aspect. For example, shelter. In Hindi we have roti, kapda or makan. Basically food, clothes and building, as in like place to stay, roti, kapda or makan. So makan is the building part. The building part is, it's a bit more complex. Shelter is not just like, okay, I built a shelter, you can stay inside. While it may sound good, and many people did try to do that, like housing complexes and all that jazz, it generally backfires because there is a quality aspect to it, not just quantity, quality aspect to it. And it's very hard to justify or even to quantify. Basically, you don't want a house, you want a home. Even if you have a small home, you will be psychologically healthy. You will have a healthy family life in it if it's a home. If it's a house, you can be living in a villa, but you will be miserable. So this part is very complex. You cannot live in a house. You can only live in a home. Long term. Short duration, if you are going somewhere to a short term, you can live in a house. But for long duration, you need home. And city may not be the way to the future. Like people are realizing that city have reaching a maximum saturation point. More metros they build, the more more good transportation they build, the more people come in, the more oversaturated that system gets. And there is a point, so many people and everybody is miserable, everybody is alone. Like in a city that has so many, more and more people are getting alone. We may be reaching a point where human psychology does not jive well with cities. We have to abandon city. Basically, instead of this mega cities that we have right now, we may have to abandon it. We may have to have multiple small localities rather than mega city. So now let's say you sorted the base layer. You have a home, you have sorted the food, water, all those things are sorted. Then the ugly part of life happens. That is, purpose of life is very important. How important? Well, if that step is lost, basically you inherently, like from deep within, like on a firmware level, BIOS level, instruction set architecture level, you do not know what's the purpose of your existence, the psychological damage would be brutal. How brutal? Therapy cannot fix it. Like all therapy can do, oh, that's what is the problem. Like they will try to solve it, but it's like if you have a slip disc, you can't fix it. Like you messed it up. Like all you can do is like make sure it does not get worse. That's the best case you can do. Or was like it's really bad, you have to do surgery to repair it to some extent, but you get that point. You like some things, if you mess it up, you can't fix it. This is one of those. Like if you do not have purpose in life and you will like, why the heck so many rich people or so many celebrities who have everything, why the heck they are offering themselves? This part breaks. You would be quite right, like how easily that part can break. And here's the deal. How the heck our ancestors used to sort that part? Thankfully, they had this family. Basically, they had why the heck men was struggling, working their ass off? Because they wanted to have a family. They wanted to take care of the family. Why the heck woman was working her ass off? Because she wanted to have a family. She wanted to take care of a family. Why the heck children were there? Children was trying to replicate the same process. Basically, they see it from their mother and father. They wanted to do that when they grow up. Everybody had a clear-cut purpose in life. So this part was sorted. It's like, that's why they could endure it. That's why you're like, oh, those people could survive so much hardship. Again, they had this part sorted, purpose of life sorted. Once you have this part sorted, how much endurance you have, it's exponentially higher. If you do not have this part, even basic things can break you. And family used to give us that. That part is gone now. If you ever wonder why the heck we have so much psychological damage in this world right now, that's the reason. It's not like, oh, randomly modern life is causing that. No, the backbone is corrupted now. For example, the best way to describe it is like how we say cell is the building block of life. Same way, family is the building block of a country. If your family unit is no longer safe, stable, successful, and like as in like some things will always break. There is no denying that. There are some cells will always malfunction. That's acceptable. It's like if the percentage starts to reach 12%, 13%, 30%, God help you, if it crosses 51%, you dead. You're just on borrowed time at that point in time. So family used to be there, but court system came in and they did such a poisonous job. It's like, are you serious? Like, what was the cocainum that you were smoking? So they destroyed everything. And like, this is a line of China's divorce registration. Yeah, they have millions of divorces. The same is happening in India, same is happening in Europe. Like once the family breaks, this does not work. And here's the what many times people have this brain damage idea. It's like money will solve your problem. It's like, what the first thing you do when you have money? You spend it. That's why you have to know money does not solve problem. You have to understand who you want to spend it on, what you want to do with that money. Many times people are like so rich that they are poor again. It's like, they're like, I can't just buy this watch. Let's say they're like, hey, I want to buy a Patek Philippe. They're like, don't buy Patek Philippe. It's like, why? It's a good watch. It's like, yeah, it's an amazing watch, but it does not have resale value. It's like, why the heck did you made money? It's like everything, like they don't live in their house. It's like, you don't, dude, house is, it's a liability. We need this. So they have more money and they're working like 80 hours a week or 90 hours a week. And they're like, I have so much money. It's like, dude, you don't have a single second of time. You do not know your family. Many times, like this is real. This is today. This is fact. Like you're like, I'm going to work. I'm going to have money. Money has no value. And especially if you lose your purpose of life, all that money will be good for is psychotherapy. And be mindful, that's not going to solve it. So complexity is brutal in this puppy. It's not easy. And please Google China's divorce lineups. It's horrifying. But again, government introduced something that was poisonous, so I'm not surprised. Then we come to the dangerous aspect of it. The dangerous aspect is that every culture, take whichever culture that is old enough, as in like few thousand years, they all have this saying that road to hell is paved by good intentions. Again, different languages have different things. Some may say it a bit different. It's like, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. So be very mindful of that. The reason is that if you sell people that you are building a utopia, as in like a place that will be so perfect that it will not have any suffering, people will be able to justify whatever. Like, no end. They can justify blood. At that point in time, you will figure out why the heck Soviet Union couldn't do things that they did. Why the heck, he managed to do things that he could do. It's like, why the heck people were supporting? Again, they were selling utopia. Once you start to sell utopia, people are willing to do whatever. Like this guy is going to kill China recently. He's going to introduce what we call common prosperity. The moment he introduces that, in next 10 years, you will watch this video again and it's like, oh, this dude actually told it. It's going to destroy the country. And like all these hypocrites were living in the most successful place, and it's like, it's like save the planet, destroy capitalism. Capitalism is like democracy. It's like it's the worst form of economic structure, but it's the least worst form that we have. And be mindful, that's South Korea, North Korea. North Korea tried that. And that's why like I always get pissed off with these people. It's like always, it's like, capitalism is the worst thing. It's like, you have every problem sorted. The reason why you are miserable is you do not have family. You do not have a purpose of life. That's why you can be in the most luxurious place you can ever be and be like, communism is the best. It's like, you never lived in there. That's why. It's like people forget. It's like the countries that were in communist, they left. So what does that all mean? All that it means simply because if somebody gives you easy solution, it's like, do this, problem solved. No, run. If somebody gives you that, take a reverse gear, apply nitrous booster, go out. Like, boom. Then one thing you have to understand, humans are not great. Like, we came out of evolutionary biology. We are not great creature. We are not like, we can step 10,000 steps ahead. We can figure out 500 days ahead. No, we can't. All we have is next day. So we are not that great. So you have to work inside the biological limits of human beings. So if anybody gives you that magic pill or magic utopia, run. We have entirety of history to teach us why the heck we have this saying, road to hell is paved with good intentions. Trust me, you do not want to be there. Everybody's like, this is going to be awesome. And we have bloodbath. Yeah. That's the one dangerous aspect of utopia. That's why like chasing post-scarcity at any cost is very dangerous. And you have to be mindful. Those complex things are the first problem, not money and all that jazz. Those complex layers have to be sorted. Only then you can truly grow. So this was my presentation on post-scarcity. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.